Ethics and Therapy of the Souls. Author Abu Muhammad Ali ibn Ahmad ibn Sa'id ibn Hazm al-Andalusi al-Qurtubi al-Zahiri, died 456 Hijri. Translation by Muhammad Al-Amrani. In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Author's Preface. Abu Muhammad Ali ibn Ahmad ibn Hazm, may God be pleased with him, said, "Praise be to God for his immense favours, and blessings and peace be upon Muhammad, his servant, and the seal of his prophets and messengers. I disavow before him, exalted is he, any power and might of my own, and seek his aid against all that in this world may bring fear and loathing, and for deliverance in the hereafter from every terror and constriction." As to what follows, in this book I have gathered many meanings, which the bestower of discernment, exalted is he, has granted me over the passage of days and the succession of circumstances, through what he, majestic and sublime, has given me of concern for the vicissitudes of time, and a watchful eye upon its states, until I spent most of my life thereon. I preferred to capture these insights in writing, and to devote to their reading and reflection a care surpassing all the pleasures toward which most souls incline, and beyond any increase in surplus wealth. I have reined together all I had essayed of that into this book, so that God, exalted is he, may make it of benefit to whom he wills among his servants, who receive it by means of what cause me toil and strain and long meditation, so that they might take it unlaboured, and I might offer it as a gift, smooth and pleasant. Thus it may be for them better than treasures of gold and chains of estates, if they ponder it, and God, exalted is he, facilitates its implementation. In this I hope from God, exalted is he, the greatest reward for my intention to benefit his servants, to set aright what has gone awry in their character, and to heal the ailments of their souls. And in God I seek help, healing the souls and reforming character. The delight of the intelligent lies in their discernment, the delight of the learned in their knowledge, the delight of the wise in their wisdom, and the delight of the one striving for the sake of God, majestic and sublime in his striving. All of these are greater than the delight of the eater in his eating, the drinker in his drinking, the lover in his union, the earner in his earning, the player in his play, or the commander in his command. The proof is this: the wise, the intelligent, the learned, and the worker find all the pleasures I have named, just as the one immersed in them finds them. They feel them as he feels them, yet they leave them and turn away, and prefer the pursuit of virtues over them. And only he who has known both things may judge between two things, not the one who knows one, but not the other. If you indeed examine all affairs, they decay in your hands, and your thought at its end will conclude that all states of this world dwindle away, and that the only reality is to work for the hereafter alone. For every hope you attain ends in sorrow, either because it leaves you, or because you must leave it, and there is no escape from one of these two, except in work done for God, majestic and sublime. Its end, in every case, is joy in the near and the far. As for the immediate, your cares are few in what burdens people, and you are thereby magnified in the sight of friend and foe alike. As for the far end, paradise. I sought a target which all people would equally deem praiseworthy and seek, and I found only one: the banishment of worry. But when I reflected, I realized that people do not merely agree in deeming it good or in seeking it. Rather, I saw them, despite the divergence of their temperaments and aims, and the disparity of their aspirations and wills, do not move at all, except toward that by which they hope to banish care. and they do not utter a single word except in pursuit of removing it from themselves. Some erring in the path, some near to error, and some, the fewest of the few, correct in a few of their matters. Thus, the banishment of worry is the course on which all nations, from the moment God, exalted is He, created the world until the end of this world's term and the coming of the world of reckoning, have agreed to rely upon it alone in their striving. Every other aim besides it is something some among mankind do not deem good. Among people are those without religion who do not work for the hereafter. Among them are people of evil who desire neither good nor safety nor truth. Among them are those who prefer obscurity by whim and will over good repute. Among them are those who do not desire wealth and prefer its absence over its presence, like many of the prophets, peace be upon them, and those who followed them among renunciants and philosophers. Among them are those whose nature detests pleasures and depreciates their seekers, like the many who prefer the loss of wealth over its acquisition. Among them are those who prefer ignorance over knowledge, like most of the common people you see. These are the aims of people, and they have no other aims. And there has never been, from the beginning of the world to its end, anyone who deems worry itself good or does not desire to banish it from himself. When this noble knowledge settled in my soul, and this wondrous secret was unveiled, and God exalted as He illuminated this great treasure for my thought, I searched for the path that truly leads to the banishment of worry, the very aim for which every sort of human being, ignorant and learned, righteous and depraved, strives. I found no path except turning toward God, majestic and sublime, by working for the hereafter. Otherwise, seekers of wealth seek it only to banish the worry of poverty. Seekers of renown seek it only to banish the worry of being dominated. Seekers of pleasures seek them only to banish the worry of missing them. Seekers of knowledge seek it only to banish the worry of ignorance. Those eager to hear news and converse with people seek it only to banish the worry of loneliness and the absence of awareness of the world's states. The eater eats, the drinker drinks, the spouse mates, the dresser dons clothes, the player plays, the hoarder hoards, the rider rides, the walker walks, the recluse withdraws, all to banish from themselves the opposites of these acts and the manifold worries. But in all that I have described, for the one who reflects, there are newly occurring cares, inevitable accidents that arise in the midst, the impossibility of what becomes impossible of them, the loss of what is acquired, and incapacity due to various happening afflictions. And also there are evil consequences that result from attaining what one has attained, fear of rival, stab of envie, snatching by one who covets, acquisition by an enemy, along with blame and sin and the like. Whereas I found that working for the hereafter is free of every blemish, pure of any turbidity, and truly leads to the banishment of worry. And I found that the worker for the hereafter, if tried by what is disliked on that path, does not worry. Rather, he rejoices, because his hope in the outcome increases his aid in what he seeks and augments his aim. And I found that if something obstructs him on the path he pursues, he does not worry, for he is not taken to account for that, and it does not harm what he seeks. And I saw that if he is targeted with harm, he rejoices. If calamity afflicts him, he rejoices. If he grows tired in what he has undertaken, he rejoices. He is thus in unbroken joy, always, and others are ever the opposite. Know, then, there is but one aim, the banishment of worry, and only one way to it. Working for God, exalted is He. Whatever is besides this is error and folly. Do not expend yourself except in what surpasses you, and that's nothing but in God's cause, calling to truth, protecting the sacred, repelling humiliation that your Creator, exalted is He, did not impose upon you, aiding the wronged. As for one who risks himself for the display of worldly trinkets, he is like one who sells rubies for pebbles. There is no nobility for one without religion. The intelligent prices himself at nothing less than paradise. As for Satan's censure of ostentation, it is a snare. How often does one refrain from doing good for fear that it may be deemed ostentation? Mind and rest. Reason and repose. To cast away concern for people's talk, and to be concerned with the speech of the Creator, majestic and sublime. Indeed, this is the very gate of reason and repose in their entirety. Whoever believes he will be safe from people's slander and censure is demented. He who examines carefully and trains his soul to rest upon realities, even if they pain it at the first shock, will find his rejoicing in people's blame of him stronger and greater than his rejoicing in their praise. For their praise, if it be true and reaches him, induces self-admiration, thereby corrupting his virtues. And if it be false and reaches him, it pleases him, so he becomes glad at a lie, a grave deficiency. As for people's blame, if it be true and reaches him, perhaps it becomes a cause for him to avoid what is blameworthy, a great gain, despised only by the deficient. And if it be false and reaches him, and he bears it with patience, he acquires additional virtue of forbearance and patience, and with that he is a gainer. For he takes the good deeds of the one who slandered him falsely, to profit thereby in the abode of recompense, when he most needs salvation by deeds for which he neither toiled nor exerted himself. A great gain, despised only by a madman. As for when praise does not reach him, whether people speak or are silent is the same for him. Not so with their blame, for he is gaining reward in any case whether it reaches him or not. Were it not for the messenger of God saying regarding good praise, "That is the prompt glad tidings of the believer," then an intelligent person would have to desire false blame for himself more than true praise. But since this saying has come, the glad tidings pertain to truth, not falsehood. The glad tidings belong to what is truly in the one praised, not to the mere act of praise. Between virtues and vices, or between obedience and disobedience, there is nothing but the soul's aversion and its affinity. The happy is one whose soul finds affinity with virtues and acts of obedience, and aversion to vices and sins. The wretched is one whose soul finds affinity with vices and sins, and aversion to virtues and obedience. This is but the making and protection of God, exalted is He. He who seeks the hereafter, to win in the hereafter, resembles the angels. The seeker of evil resembles the devils. The seeker of renown and domination resembles the beasts of prey. The seeker of pleasures resembles cattle. The seeker of money, merely for money, not to spend it in obligations and praiseworthy supererogations, is too base and vile to resemble any animal. Rather, he resembles the stagnant pools in caves amid rough places from which no living being gains benefit. The intelligent does not rejoice in a quality wherein he is surpassed by a carnivore, an animal, or a stone. He rejoices only in his precedence, in the virtue by which God, exalted is He, distinguished him from beasts of prey, animals, and inanimate things. Discernment wherein he shares with the angels. Whoever rejoices in his courage, but places it where it does not belong for God's sake, should know that the tiger is bolder than he, and the lion and the wolf and the elephant are braver. Whoever rejoices in bodily strength, the mule, the bull, and the elephant surpass him. Whoever rejoices in bearing burdens, the donkey bears more. Whoever rejoices in speed of running, the dog and the hare outrun him. Whoever rejoices in the beauty of his voice. Many birds sing more pleasantly than he, and the sounds of flutes are sweeter and more stirring. What pride, then, or joy is there in what these animals surpass him? But whoever has strong discernment, ample knowledge, and beautiful action, let him rejoice in that. For none surpass him in these but the angels and the best of humankind. God exalted is he, says, but as for him who feared to stand before his sustainer and restrained his self from base desires, then truly paradise shall be his abode. 79, 40, 41. This includes every virtue, for restraining the self from base desire is restraining it from the irascible nature, and from the lustful nature, for both fall under the compulsion of desire. Thus nothing remains but employing the soul in the faculty of reason set within it, by which it is distinguished from animals, insects, and beasts of prey. The messenger of God, peace and blessings be upon him, said to the one he was advising, "Do not get angry." And his command, peace be upon him, that a person love for others what he loves for himself, these two encompass every virtue. For his forbidding anger is a restraining of the soul's irascible faculty from its desire, and his commanding that a person love for others what he loves for himself is a restraining of the soul's lustful faculty, and it gathers the reins of justice, which is the fruit of the rational faculty within the rational soul. I saw that most people, except those whom God, exalted is he, protects, and they are few, hasten misery, care, and toil for themselves in this world, and accrue great sin that entails the fire in the hereafter. Through evil intentions they tenaciously hold, such as wishing for the rise of prices that destroys people and the weak who bear no guilt, such as wishing for the most severe affliction upon those they detest, though they know with certainty that such corrupt intentions bring nothing closer nor cause the existence of what they wish. Had they purified and beautified their intentions, they would hasten comfort for themselves, free themselves for the good of their affairs, and gain immense reward in the hereafter without delaying any part of what they desire or preventing it. What loss is greater than this state which I have pointed out? And what felicity is greater than that to which I have invited? If you grasp the duration of this world, you will find it to be nothing but the present moment, which is but the juncture between two times. What has passed and what has not yet come are both non-existent, as though they had never been. Who is more astray than one who sells what is abiding and everlasting for a portion shorter than the blink of an eye? When a person sleeps, he departs from the world and forgets every joy and every sorrow. If he arranged his wakefulness likewise, he would be perfectly happy. Whoever does evil to his household and neighbours is the lowest among them. Whoever repays those among them who do evil to him is like them. And whoever does not repay their evil is their master, their best, and their most excellent. Knowledge. If there were no merit in knowledge, except that the ignorant revere and honour you, and the learned love and esteem you, that would suffice to make its pursuit obligatory, how then with all its other virtues in this world and the hereafter? And if there were no deficiency in ignorance, except that its possessor envies the learned, and only finds contentment in the company of his ignorant peers, that would suffice to make fleeing from it obligatory, how then with all its other vices in this world and the hereafter? If the only benefit of knowledge and engaging in it were that it cuts the student off from exhausting obsessions and from the fields of hopes that yield nothing but care, and spares him painful thoughts that would be the greatest summons to it. How then, when it possesses virtues too long to enumerate, of which the least is what I have mentioned. In like manner the weakling kings wearied themselves and busied their minds with chess and dice, wine and songs, racing beasts in pursuit of the hunt, and other excesses that bring harm in this world and the next, and bring no benefit. Were the man of learning to reckon what his knowledge has spared him of the humiliation under the sway of the ignorant, of the cares caused by hidden truths being veiled from him, of the envy of what he has come to know of matters hidden from others, he would increase in praise to God, majestic and sublime, rejoice in his possession of knowledge, and desire more of it. Whoever preoccupies himself with the lowest of the sciences and leaves aside the highest one, though able for it, is like one who sows millet in land best suited for wheat, or who plants reeds where palms and olives thrive. Disseminating knowledge among those unfit for it corrupts them like feeding honeyed sweets to one burning with fever, or bringing musk and ambergris to the nose of one who suffers headaches from bile. The miser with knowledge is more ignoble than the miser with wealth. For the miser with wealth fears the loss of what is in his hand. The miser with knowledge withholds what does not perish through spending, and which does not part from him if he bestows it. From wealth, by its nature, to some knowledge, though it be less than other knowledge, do not preoccupy the soul with anything else. For that is like planting coconuts in Al-Andalus, or olives in India. It will not thrive. The noblest of the sciences is that which brings you nearer to your Creator, exalted is He, and helps you to attain His good pleasure. Look in wealth, status, and health to those beneath you. Look in religion, knowledge, and virtues to those above you. Arcane sciences are like strong medicine. They benefit strong bodies and destroy weak ones. So, too, such sciences increase the strong intellect in quality and purify it of every affliction, and they destroy the weak intellect by causing it to plunge into madness. There are those who have dived for madness in such a way that were they to dive for reason, they would be more judicious than Al-Hasan al-Basri, Plato of Athens, or Bozorgmer the Persian. Reason halts at the knowledge that it avails not unless aided by divine enabling in religion or by good fortune in the world. Do not harm yourself by testing corrupt opinions in your own person to show the adviser their corruption, lest you perish. The blame of one with corrupt opinion for your opposing him while you are safe from hurt is better for you than that he excuse you, and then both of you repent while you have fallen into harm. Never please another by what grieves yourself in any matter which neither revealed law nor virtue obligates upon you. Knowledge halts where there is ignorance regarding the attributes of the Creator, majestic and sublime. No affliction upon the sciences and their people is worse than those who infiltrate them while not of their people. They are ignorant while thinking themselves learned, destructive while imagining they are reformers. Whoever seeks the good of the life to come, the wisdom of this world, the rectitude of conduct, and the full compass of noble character indeed, to merit all virtues, let him take Muhammad, the Apostle of God, may God's blessings and peace be upon him, as his model, and strive to the best of his ability to live by his character and his way. May God, by his grace, aid us in following him. Amen. Those of ignorance displeased me twice in my life, once by their speech in what they did not master during my days of ignorance, and again by their silence from speech in my presence. They are ever silent regarding what would benefit them, and vocal in what harms them. The people of knowledge delighted me twice in my life, once by teaching me in my ignorance, and again by conversing with me in my knowledge. Among the merits of knowledge and renunciation of the world is that God, majestic and sublime, gives them only to those worthy of them. Among the defects of high states in the world, wealth and renown, is that most often they fall to those unworthy of them. Who seeks virtues will journey only with their people, and will accompany upon that road the most noble of companions, people of generosity, righteousness, truth, nobility of kin, patience, loyalty, trustworthiness, forbearance, purity of heart, and sound affection. Who seeks status, wealth, and pleasures journeys only with the likes of ravening dogs and crafty foxes, and will accompany upon that road enemies in belief, corrupt in nature. Knowledge's benefit in practicing virtues is great. It lets one know the beauty of virtues to come to them, even if but rarely, and the ugliness of vices to avoid them, even if but rarely. And it makes one hear good praise to desire the like, and foul blame to recoil from it. By these preludes, knowledge must have a share in every virtue, and ignorance a share in every vice. Virtues rarely come from one who has not learned except from a nature pure indeed, and a composition most excellent. And this is a station given to the prophets, peace be upon them, for God, exalted is he, taught them all good without their learning it from people. I have seen, among the masses, those who act with such balance and praiseworthy character as even a wise scholar who has trained his soul does not surpass, yet they are very few. And I have seen those who have perused the sciences and known the covenants of the prophets, peace be upon them, and the counsels of sages, yet none surpasses them in evil conduct, in corruption of public and private life, the worst of people, and they are many indeed. Thus I knew that these are gifts and withholdings from God, exalted is he. Morals and behaviour. Be eager to be described as harmless of side and safe of hand, and beware of being described as crafty, for then many will be wary of you, and that may harm you, and perhaps destroy you. Accustom your soul to what it dislikes. The burden is less when it arrives, and your joy grows and doubles when that which you love arrives, especially what you had not anticipated. When worries proliferate, they all fall away. The treacherous may fulfill for the fortunate, the faithful may betray the unfortunate. Truly happy is he whom time does not compel to test his brothers. Do not think of those who hurt you. If you are advancing, he is perishing, and your good fortune suffices you. And if you are declining, then everyone hurts you. Glad tidings to the one who knows of his own faults more than people know of him. Patience with roughness divides into three kinds. Patience with one who has power over you while you have none over him. Patience with one you have power over while he has none over you. And patience with one neither you nor he has power over the other. The first is humiliation and disgrace. It is not among virtues, save that if one fears what is worse than what one bears, then leaving and distancing is wisdom. The second is merit and kindness, true forbearance, the very quality of the virtuous. The third divides in two. If the roughness comes from one who did so only by mistake, and he knows the ugliness of what he did and repents of it, then patience with him is merit and obligation, true forbearance. But he who does not know his measure and imagines a right for himself, by which he grows haughty, does not repent what is past. Then patience with him is humiliation for the patient, and corruptive for the one born with, for it increases his insolence. To trade with him in kind is foolishness. The right course is to inform him that you could have retaliated, but refrained only out of disdain for him and a desire to avoid engaging him. Go no further. As for the roughness of the ignoble, there is no recompense but exemplary deterrence and due punishment. Whoever sits among people will not be spared a care that pains his soul, a sin he will regret in his afterlife, a spite that boils his liver, and a humiliation that lowers his spirits. What then do you think of the one who mixes with them and enters into their affairs? Honour, rest, joy, and safety lie in keeping apart from them, but keep them like fire. Warm yourself by it, do not mingle with it. If there were in the company of people only two defects, they would suffice. One is that in intimacy one becomes free with destructive secrets which, but for company, would not be divulged. And the second is exposure to the overwhelming of argument and victory which destroys one in the hereafter. There is no path to safety from these two scourges except in avoiding company altogether. Do not belittle the deed of tomorrow if you can make it real by performing it today, even if small. From small deeds many accumulate, and perhaps your strength will fail then and the whole falls through. Do not belittle anything that will weigh down your scale on the day of resurrection. Hasten it now, even if small, for it removes from you much which, if gathered, would cast you into the fire. Pain, poverty, calamity, and fear, none taste their sting except one immersed in them. The outsider does not know. Corruption of opinion, disgrace, and sin, none sees their ugliness except one outside them. He who is inside does not see. Security, health, and wealth, none knows their due except one deprived of them. The one in them does not recognize their worth. Sound judgment, virtues, and work for the hereafter, none knows their merit except one of their people, and none knows it who is not among their people. The first to disdain the treacherous person is one whom the treacherous betrayed. The first to loathe a false witness is he for whom he bore false witness. The first to find the adulteress contemptible is he who committed adultery with her. We never saw anything corrupt return to full health except after long delay. How then, with a brain that is nightly corrupted by drunkenness, and is there an intellect that would adorn for its owner the hastening of its nightly ruin? One must distrust a path that turns querulous, reproaches ennoble. Abundance of wealth invites desire. Little of it makes one content. A prudent person may be cursed by his own strategy, but it is not possible that a fool be made happy by his own contriving. Nothing is more harmful to a ruler than many idlers around him. The resolute must occupy them in what does not wrong them, otherwise they will occupy him in what wrongs him. As for bringing close his enemies, that is self-destruction. Frequent sight dulls regard and makes the matter small. Imposing looks, grimness, and little openness, these are curtains which the ignorant veil before their own ignorance, when the world has empowered them. The intelligent is not deceived by a friendship newly found in days of his fortune, for then everyone is his friend. Strive to seek help in your affairs from one who wants from them for himself what you want for yourself, and do not seek help from one whose portion from you is like your portion from him. Do not answer speech reported to you from a speaker until you are certain he said it. Whoever brings you a lie will leave you with a truth. Trust one who is God-fearing, even if not of your faith, and do not trust one who makes light of God's sanctities, even if he claims your faith. Whoever belittles God's sacred bounds, do not entrust him with anything you hold dear. I found those who share their very spirits to be more than those who share their wealth. This is something I tested long, and never found otherwise until I resigned myself to it being a human nature. Of ugly injustice is to condemn one who has done much evil when he does good in rarity. Whoever finds rest from a single enemy, new enemies are born for him in multitude. The closest image of this world I've seen is the shadow play. Figures set on a wooden wheel, turned quickly some disappear, while others appear. Long did I marvel at death. I had companions my soul cleaved to them as spirit cleaves to body in the truth of affection. When they died, I saw some of them in dreams, others I did not. I had made covenants with some in life that we visit each other in sleep after death if possible. Yet I did not see him in sleep after he preceded me to the abode of the hereafter. I do not know, was it forgetfulness? Is it the soul's preoccupation, its heedlessness of what it was in the abode of trial, before its descent into the body, like the heedlessness of one plunged in deep mud of all he knew before? Then I prolonged reflection upon that, and another branch of clarity dawned. I saw that when a sleeper's soul aspires to loosen itself from his body, and its sensation grows strong until it witnesses the unseen, it forgets what it was in just before sleep utterly, even though its memory thereof is recent. And new states befall it while it remains mindful, sensing, tasting pleasure and pain. The pleasure of sleep is palpable, for the sleeper delights, has nocturnal emissions, fears and grieves in his sleep. The soul finds intimacy only with the soul. The body is a burden made heavy. Proof is a person's haste to bury the body of his beloved when his soul has left it, and his grief is for the soul's departure, though the corpse is in his very hands. I have not seen Satan deploy a snare more catching, uglier, or more foolish than two words he cast upon the tongues of his preachers. One is the excuse of one who does ill, so-and-so did ill before me. The second is a man's ease with doing wrong today because he did wrong yesterday, or doing wrong to this because he wronged that. These two phrases have made an excuse, easy for evil, admitting it into the bounds of what is known and tolerated and not denounced. Employ bad suspicion where you are able to give it its due of caution and preparedness, and employ good suspicion where you have no power to guard yourself. Thus you gain rest of soul. The measure of generosity and its utmost, that you expend all your surplus in avenues of goodness best of all, to the needy neighbour, the poor kin, one whose blessings have vanished, and whoever stands in urgent want. Withholding surplus from these is miserliness praised or blamed according to the measure of your constriction or expansiveness. Whatever is placed outside these avenues is waste blameworthy. Whatever of your staple you give to one more in need than you, that is preference over the self, more excellent than mere generosity. Withholding such is neither praised nor blamed, it is mere self-protection. Fulfilling obligations is an obligation. Giving from what remains beyond staple is generosity. Preferring others over yourself from your staple, to the extent that you do not perish without it, is excellence. Withholding obligations is forbidden. Withholding what is beyond the staple is stinginess. Withholding preference from a part of your staple is excusable, while withholding the staple from yourself or your dependents is foulness, baseness, and sin. Lavishness with what you have taken unjustly or seized without right is injustice doubled, and its recompense is blame, not praise, for you only dispense the property of others in reality, not your own. Giving people their rightful due from what you hold is not generosity, it is justice. The measure of courage, to offer your life to death for religion and the inviolable, for a wrong neighbour, for one who seeks refuge in injustice, for wrong done in wealth and honour, and in every path of truth, whether there are few or many opposing. Falling short of this is cowardice and weakness. Offering yourself for the sake of worldly display is recklessness and foolishness, and more foolish still is he who offers himself to prevent the rights owed before God upon yourself or upon others. And more foolish than all these are those I have seen who do not know for what they hazard their lives. One moment they fight for Zayd against Amr. Another they fight for Amr against Zayd, perhaps in the same day, thus exposing themselves to perdition without meaning ending in the fire or fleeing to disgrace. Of these the messenger of God, peace and blessings be upon him, has warned, saying, "There will come upon people a time when neither the killer knows for what he killed, nor the slain knows for what he was killed." The measure of chastity, that you lower your gaze and all your limbs from bodies not lawful to you. What is beyond that is indecency. That which falls short until you forego what God has made lawful to you is weakness and incapacity. The measure of justice, that you give from yourself what is due and take what is due to you. The measure of injustice, that you take but do not give. The measure of nobility, that you give what is due from yourself willingly, and you waive your right for another, while able this, too, is excellence. Every generosity is nobility and excellence, but not every nobility and excellence is generosity. Excellence is more general, generosity more specific. Forbearance is excellence, but not generosity. Excellence is an obligation to which you add a supererogatory. Neglect of an hour ruins the training of a year. The mistake of one in managing affairs is better than the right of a group which none directs, for the one can be corrected. The group's right makes them persist in neglect, and therein lies ruin. The flower of fitna does not tie. I was in the grip of many faults, but I persisted in training the soul. And I observed what the prophets, peace be upon them, and the virtuous among the sages ancient and later have said in ethics and the discipline of the soul. I strove to heal it until God, majestic and sublime, helped with his enabling and bounty to correct most of that. The completion of justice, of training the soul, and of steering by the reins of reality is to confess the truth, so that some day one who will take admonition may do so, if God wills. Among these was my being impassioned in pleasure and excessive in anger. I continued to medicate that until I stopped showing anger at all, neither in speech, nor deed, nor agitation, and refrained from what is unlawful in reprisal. I bore that heavy burden and swallowed a bitter pain that at times made me ill. As for pleasure, I was incapacitated in it, and it is as though I allowed myself in that, for the self pictured that abandoning it is meanness. Among them was an overpowering playfulness. What I could manage was to refrain from what angers a companion in jest. I excused myself in that, seeing that abandoning it is closeness and akin to arrogance. Among them was intense self-admiration. My reason contended with myself through what it knows of its faults until it all departed, and no trace remained, praise be to God. I compelled my soul to despise its own measure and to practice humility. Among them were impulses born of youthful rashness and weak ability to overlook. I bound myself to leaving them, and they vanished. Among them was a love of recognition and superiority. What I could manage was to refrain from the unlawful therein in the religion. And God's help is sought for the rest, even though the emergence of the irascible soul, if it is subservient to the rational, is a virtue and praiseworthy trait. Among them was excess in pride, which made aversive to me the marrying off of my womenfolk in every way. It made that difficult in my nature. It is as though I stopped struggling with this excess, which I know to be ugly because of certain obstacles that came upon me, and God's aid is sought. Among them were two faults which God exalted is he has veiled, and aided me in resisting. By his subtlety one of them vanished entirely. Praise be to God. It is as if fortune were charged against me. Whenever one of its constellations rose, I moved to extinguish it. As for the second, it contended with me. Whenever its worms stirred, its veins pulsed, almost appearing. Then God exalted is he helped to suppress it by varieties of his subtlety, until it lay still. Among them was excessive rancour. By God's help I was able to fold it, conceal it, and overcome all its results from showing. As for cutting it off completely, I could not. With it I was also incapable of ever befriending the one who truly opposed me. As for suspicion, some deem it absolutely a fault, and this is not so, except when it leads one to what is unlawful in religion or ugly in dealings. Otherwise it is prudence, and prudence is a virtue. What my ignorant enemies censure me for, that I do not care, in what I hold to be true, about opposing those I oppose, even were they all upon the face of the earth, and that I do not care to conform to the people of my land in much of their customary fashion without meaning this trait, for me is among my greatest virtues without peer. By my life, were it not in me, and I seek refuge in God, then it would be among my greatest wishes and supplications to my Creator, majestic and sublime. I counsel everyone who hears my words to the same, for they will gain no benefit by following the people in falsehood and vanity if it angers their Lord, exalted is he, or if it wrongs their reason, or hurts their soul and body, or loads them with burdens without benefit. Some who are unaware of realities also censured me for not being pained when someone insults me, and that I extend this from myself to my brothers, that I do not resent for them if someone insults them in my presence. I say, whoever describes me thus has spoken in generalities and not clarified. Speech, when left vague, blankets under it the beautifying of the ugly and the uglifying of the good. Do you not see that if someone were to say, so-and-so lies with his sister, how vile that is to every listener, and yet if it is clarified, she is his sister in Islam, the ugliness of that generality is clear. As for me, were I to claim that I do not feel pain when someone insults me, I would not be truthful. Such pain is innate in all humans. But I have bound my soul to not manifest anger, nor agitation, nor incitement. If I can withhold from retaliation altogether by preparing myself for it, that is what I rely upon by God's power and might. If I am overtaken by the matter, I return words in kind, but only with painful speech, not obscene seeking truth, not in the form of anger or ignorance. All in all, I dislike it, except when necessity calls, by which I hope to suppress one who grows insolent in attacking me, or to suppress the reporter, for most people love to relay unpleasantness in the words of others. Nothing stops them from this more than such a response. It restrains them from carrying people's hurts on people's tongues. And this is something that yields nothing but the corruption of hearts and the implanting of amulets of rancour. Then, after that, the one who attacks me is not free of two cases, with no third. Either he is lying or truthful. If he is lying, then God has hastened my triumph over him by his own tongue, placing him among the liars, and alerting others to my virtue by ascribing to me what I am innocent of in honour, while most listeners know his lie, either immediately or after they inquire. If he is truthful, then one of three matters. Either I have confided in him something, my heart resting to him, trusting his reliability, and thus he is the worst of people in state enough as a fall and baseness. Or he censured me for what he thinks is a fault, while it is not. Then his ignorance suffices against him, and he is the blameworthy, not the one he blamed. or he censured me with a fault truly in me, and thus found in me a deficiency by which he loosed his tongue. If so, then my soul is more deserving of blame than he, and I am then more entitled to anger against myself than against the one who rightly censured me. As for my brothers, I do not refrain from resenting for them, but I do so gently. I go no further than to make the speaker regret in my presence, to make him remorseful, apologetic, ashamed, and retracted, by taking with him the path of censuring those who speak ill of people, by saying that a person's looking to his own matter and concern to improve it is more proper than tracking people's slips, by mentioning my friend's virtues and making him weep at limiting himself to fault while leaving virtue, saying to him, "He would not be pleased with this about you. He is worthier of nobility than you, so do not be pleased for yourself with this," and the like. As for stirring and rousing the speaker, inflaming his nature, I then incite him to multiply against my friend what I detest, and so I become the offender against my friend, exposing him to ugly insult and its repetition, and its being heard by those who had not heard it. Perhaps I would also thereby offend myself with what my friend would not wish me to suffer, hearing roughness and unpleasantness. I do not want my friend to defend me by more than what I have set forth. If he exceeds that to insulting the one who attacked me, leading thereby to a doubling of the attack and its extending to him with ugly confrontation, and perhaps to my parents and his, according to the attacker's boorishness, perhaps to a physical brawl, then I find fault with him in that, become aggravated by him, complain of him, and do not thank him, rather I censure him severely. And God exalted is he grants success. Some also blame me, those who handle matters without verification, that I squander my wealth. Here is the elaboration. I squander none of it, except what preserving would cause a deficiency in my religion, a fraying of my honour, or a vexation of my soul. I see what I preserve of these three, though little, as greater in compensation than all my lost wealth, even if it were all the world. I have found the best of God's blessings upon a person is that he fashions him upon justice and love of justice, and upon truth and preference for it. By this I have suppressed these corrupt stars, faults, and attained every good in religion and in worldly life, and there is no power nor might except with God, exalted is he. But whoever is fashioned upon injustice and its easiness, upon oppression and its trivialization, let him despair of ever rectifying his soul or straightening his nature. Let him know he will not prosper in religion, nor in praiseworthy character. As for vanity, envy, lying, and treachery, I did not know them by nature at all, as though I have no praise in leaving them, for my temperament loathes them. Praise be to God, Lord of all beings. Among the defects of love being mentioned is that it voids deeds. If the doer wishes to be mentioned by them, this is almost like associating partners, for he acts for other than God, exalted is he. It obliterates virtues. Its possessor hardly does good out of love for good, but to be mentioned by it. One who praises you with what is not in you censures you more intensely by alerting people to your lack. One who censures you with what is not in you praises you more intensely by alerting people to your virtues. He has thus taken your side against his own soul by exposing himself to denial and blame. If the deficient knew his deficiency, he would be complete. No creature is free of defect. The happy is one whose defects are few and subtle. Most of what is impossible to foresee happens. Prudence is to prepare for what is expected. Glory be to him who ordered matters thus to show man his incapacity and his need for his Creator, majestic and sublime. Brotherhood, friendship, and sincere counsel, He preserves you who rebukes you. He forsakes you who belittles your misdeeds. Reproaching a friend is like refining a bar of gold. It either comes out pure or it flies away. He among your brothers who conceals from you a secret of his that concerns you is more treacherous to you than the one who divulges your secret. For the one who divulges your secret has only betrayed you. But the one who hides his secret from you has betrayed you and deemed you untrustworthy. Do not desire one who turns from you lest you gain disappointment and disgrace. Do not turn from one who desires you that would be a gate to injustice and a neglect of requiting goodness, and this is ugly. Who is tested to mix with people, let him not throw all his trust upon the one he befriends, and let him build nothing with him except upon the assumption that he is an opposing enemy. Let him not begin any morning except expecting betrayal and ill-dealing from his brothers as he would from a declared foe. If he is spared that, praise belongs to God. If otherwise, he is ready and does not die of sorrow. And I tell you that some who showed me the purest affection in all states, hardship and ease, abundance and tightness, anger and pleasure, changed upon me most vilely after 12 continuous years of utmost purity, for a very slight cause I had never thought would affect anyone. He did not recover after that. That distressed me for many years with intense sorrow. But do not, with this, practice ill dealings, lest you join the wicked among people and their lovers. Here is a path hard to tread, demanding of effort. The traveller needs to be more guided than the sandgrouse, and more cautious than the magpie, until he departs from people on the way to his Lord, exalted is he. This path is the way to success in religion and worldly life. Its possessor gains the purity of intention of those with wholesome souls and sound covenants, free of stratagem and deceit. He gathers the virtues of the righteous and the traits of the excellent, and with that he attains the safety of the shrewd and the escape of the wicked, the crafty. It is, conceal the secret of everyone who trusts you. Reveal to none of your brothers nor others of your own secret what you can keep in any way whatsoever, even if he be the closest of people to you. Fulfill the trusts of all who entrust you, and do not entrust anyone with anything of your affairs that you fear for, except in absolute necessity. Then choose carefully and strive, and upon God, exalted is he, is reliance. Give the surplus of your wealth and your esteem to whoever asks you or does not ask, and to whoever needs you and you can benefit, even if he did not turn to you in desire. Do not allow your soul to expect requital from anyone but your Lord, majestic and sublime. Build only upon the premise that the one you benefit will be the first to harm you and to act against you. Those of corrupt composition intensely envy any who does them good when they see him surpass them. Treat everyone kindly, while inwardly ready to let go when he is lost to some affliction that the days and nights bring. Live in peace and rest. Do not counsel on condition of being heeded. Do not intercede on condition of being granted. Do not give on condition of being rewarded, but rather to practice excellence, to fulfill what is due of counsel, intercession, and doing good. The measure of friendship that lies between its two extremities is that a person is grieved by what grieves the other and gladdened by what gladdens the other. Beneath this is no friend. Whoever bears this quality is a friend, even if the other is not. As for what falls into the field of association, there is the reciprocal friend that requires action from both sides. Thus, a person may love one who hates him most often, in fathers with sons, in siblings with one another, between spouses, and in love that turns to passion. Not every friend is a sincere adviser, but every sincere adviser is a friend in what he advises. The measure of sincere advice is that a person is grieved by what harms the other, whether or not the other is grieved, and is gladdened by what benefits him, whether it gladdens him or grieves him. This is a condition of advice beyond the conditions of friendship. The furthest limit of friendship, beyond which there is no increase, is that one shares with you himself and his wealth for no other cause, preferring you over others. Were it not that I saw Muzaffar and Mubarak, my two companions in Valencia, I would have believed this trait extinct in our time. But I have never seen two men who fulfilled all the causes of friendship, with the succession of conditions that necessitate separation besides them. No virtue resembles vice so much as having many brothers and friends, for this is a complete virtue compounded, since they cannot be acquired except through forbearance, generosity, patience, loyalty, a wide embrace, sharing, chastity, good defence, teaching knowledge, and through every praiseworthy state. We do not mean hangers-on and followers during days of favour. They are thieves of brotherhood, and the dregs of friendship, those thought to be allies who are not. The proof is that they turn away when the world turns. Nor do we mean those who befriend for some appetite, nor the drinking companions, nor those who bond over sins and ugly deeds, nor those who gather to gnaw at people's honour and prattle in what has no benefit. They are not friends. The proof is that some of them attack others and turn away at the loss of those vices that gathered them. What we mean are brothers of purity for no cause except God exalted, is he either to aid each other towards some serious virtue or purely for love. Yet when you count the defects of having many of them, the difficulty in pleasing them, the risk in sharing with them, and what becomes due from you for them when calamity befalls them if you betray them or forsake them, you are vile and blamed. If you fulfill, you harm yourself and perhaps perish. This is what the virtuous desire if friendship is entrenched. If you reflect upon the anxiety for what befalls them, death or separation or betrayal, you may find that your joy in them hardly balances the scalding grief on their account. No vice so resembles virtue as love of praise. Proof: it is in itself foolishness from one who is pleased by it, and there has come in transmitted reports of the praisers what has come. Yet one may benefit by it to restrain from evil, to increase in good, and to make those who hear desire that praise trait. It has been authenticated for me that one manager of worldly affairs met a man given to harming people who had been appointed to a vile office. He met him with praise, saying he had heard of him great gratitude and descriptions of goodness and gentleness. That became a cause for that evildoer to withhold much of his harm. Some kinds of advice are difficult to distinguish from slander. When someone hears a man unjustly blaming another or plotting against him, and conceals that from the one blamed or plotted against, the concealer is unjust and blameworthy. But if he informs him of it as it is, he may cause the blamer and plotter to be hurt more than his due, thus wronging him. There is no right in requiting a wrongdoer by more than his wrong. Escaping this is hard, except for those of sound minds and judgment. The prudent course is to protect the one spoken against from the speaker, only this without conveying what was said, lest he fall into reckless abandon and perish. As for the plot, obligatory is to protect him from the direction from which the plot may come. In the most subtle way, one can protect the plotter's secret, and in the strongest way, one can protect the plotted against. Do not go beyond this. As for tale-bearing, it is reporting what one heard when there is no harm to the one to whom it is reported. And with God is success. Advice is twice. The first is obligation and religion. The second is reminder and alert. The third is rebuke and blame. Beyond that is a kick and a slap, unless in matters of religion, where one must persist in increasing advice, whether the one advised is pleased or displeased, whether the adviser is harmed or not. When you advise, then advise privately, not publicly, with suggestion, not blunt declaration. Unless the one advised does not grasp suggestion, then declaration must be. Do not advise on condition that it be accepted, for, if you go beyond these, you are an oppressor, not an adviser, a seeker of obedience and dominion, not a performer of the right of trust and brotherhood. This is not the rule of reason nor of friendship. This is the rule of a commander with subjects and a master with slaves. Do not burden your friend with more than you offer him from yourself. If you seek more, you are oppressive. Do not take a post except on condition of dismissal. Do not acquire except on condition of loss. Otherwise you harm yourself, and your conduct is foul. Indulging those who monopolize and seek gain, and overlooking them, this is not nobility nor virtue, rather humiliation, weakness, and encouragement for them to persist in that blameworthy character, a congratulation for them on it, and an aid for them to continue doing evil. Indulgence is noble for those who are fair, and hasten to be fair and to prefer others. For these it is obligatory upon the virtuous to deal likewise, especially if their need is more urgent. If someone says, "If your words negate indulgence and overlooking, then friend and foe are equal in dealing, and the stranger likewise, this is obvious corruption," we say, and with God is success our words urge indulgence and overlooking and preferring others, but not for those who seek to take, rather for the true friend. If you want to know how to act in this, and to see the exact path, then the matter that requires preferring one's friend over one's self. Each of the friends should examine that. Whichever is more in need and more urgently necessitated, then the rule of friendship and nobility require the other to prefer his friend over himself. If he does not, he is a gainer, a taker, no friend nor brother, never to be indulged. But if their need equals and their necessity is the same, then the right of friendship is that each hasten to prefer the other. If both do, they are friends. If one hastens and the other does not, and that is his habit, he is not a friend, and is not to be treated as one. But if the other also hastens in another case, then they are both friends. If you wish to fulfill someone's need after he has asked you, or to begin with fulfilling it, then do only what he wants, not what you want. Otherwise, withhold, for if you transgress, you are a wrongdoer, not a benefactor. You deserve his blame and that of others, not their thanks, and you will gain enmity, not friendship. Do not convey to your friend what causes his soul pain, and gives him no benefit to know that is the act of the base. And do not conceal from him what harms him by ignorance, that is the act of the evil. Do not be pleased when you are praised for what is not in you. Rather, let your grief grow, for it is a deficiency which people are alerted to, and they hear it and mock you thereby. None is pleased with this except a fool of weak mind. Do not grieve if you are blamed for what is not in you. Rather, rejoice, for it is your virtue they are alerted to. Yet rejoice if you truly possess what earns praise, whether or not you are praised. And be sad if you have what merits blame, whether or not you are blamed. Who hears someone speak ill of his friend's wife, let him never inform his friend, especially if the speaker is a habitual slanderer, foul-mouthed, pushing shame away from himself, wanting to make more of his kind. This is common. In some, do not tell people except the truth. As for the words of such speakers, you do not know whether they are true or false, and moreover, in religion, this is grave. If the talk is widespread from a group, and one knows its source is common, not traceable to a single person, or if one has discovered the reality but cannot prove to his friend what he himself has seen, then let him inform him privately, gently saying, "Women are many. Fortify your house, discipline your family, avoid such and such, guard against such and such. If the one advised takes precaution, his own good he has gained. If not, let him withhold and not return with a word, and persist in his friendship. Not believing him is not cause for cutting him off. If he has discovered the reality and can show his friend as he himself has seen, then it is obligatory to inform him and show him the truth. If he changes, so be it. If not, avoid his company. He is vile. No good in him, no purity. A man entering a person's house in concealment is sure sign of evil, needing no other proof. Likewise, a woman entering a man's house secretly. Asking for more proof is foolishness. Obligatory is to avoid such a woman and separate from her in all cases. He who keeps her is near to the limits of cuckoldry. People's dispositions fall into 7 ranks. A group who praise to the face and blame in absence, this is the trait of hypocritical backbiters widespread among people. A group who blame in presence and in absence, this is the trait of brash and shameless backbiters. A group who praise in presence and in absence, this is the trait of flatterers and the greedy. A group who blame in presence and praise in absence, this is the trait of the foolish and the simple. As for the people of virtue, they refrain from praise and blame in presence and praise in absence, or they refrain from blame. As for the backbiters, free of hypocrisy and brazenness, they refrain in presence and blame in absence. And as for the people of safety, they refrain from praise and blame both in presence and absence. Of all these we have seen and tested. When you advise, do so privately, gently. Do not ascribe the insult you address to someone else, lest you become a talebearer. If you roughen your speech in advice, that is provocation and alienation. God exalted is, he said, but speak to him in mild words. 20:44. And the messenger of God, peace and blessings be upon him, said, do not alienate. If you advise on condition of acceptance, you are an oppressor. Perhaps you're mistaken in your advice, so you would require acceptance of your mistake and abandonment of the right. Everything has a use. I have greatly benefited from the whetstone of the ignorant, for it ignited my nature, heated my mind, sharpened my thought, stirred my energy, becoming a cause for writings of great benefit, which without their stoking what lay dormant would not have been brought forth. Do not marry into a friend's family, nor go into a business partnership with him. I have not seen these 2 acts except as causes for cutting ties, even if the ignorant imagine them an affirmation of bonds. Each of these contracts invites each party to seek his own share, and those who prefer others over themselves are very few. When each seeks his own share, disputation arises, and with it nobility is spoiled. Kin marrying into kin brings the risk to the families, for kinship requires justice, even if they dislike it, because they are bound inseparably by blood, which nature induces all to defend and protect. Love and its types. Love in all its kinds is a single genus. Its definition is this longing for the beloved, abhorring what opposes him, and longing for reciprocity from him in love. People imagine that love differs because the aims differ therein, and the aims differ because appetites differ strong, weak, or absent. Thus, love may be, for God exalted is he and in him, for agreement upon some aim, for father and son and kin, for friend, for ruler, for mating, for the benefactor, for the one hoped in, for the beloved. All of this is one genus, whose kinds differ, as I have described, according to what is expected from the beloved. Therefore, the faces of love differ. We have seen those who die grieving for a child, as the lover dies grieving for his beloved. We have heard of one who gasped from fear of God exalted is he and love of him, and died. We find a man jealous over his kingship and his friend, as he is jealous over his spouse, or as a lover is jealous over his beloved. The lowest appetite of love toward one you love is to desire his favour, high regard, and nearness, if you hope for no more. This is the utmost appetite of those who love God, exalted is he. Then the appetite increases to sitting with him. Then speaking and supporting, that is the appetite of a person with his ruler, his friend, and his kin. The greatest appetite of a lover is mixing of bodies, if he hopes for that. For this you find the lover extreme in love for his spouse, desiring union in many forms and in different places to increase contact. This includes touching and kissing. Some of this may occur in a father with his child, extending to kissing and embracing. All of this is according to appetite. When appetite is blocked by some cause, the soul inclines to what it may hope for. We find the one who affirms seeing God exalted is he intense in longing for it, desiring it, greatly content with nothing less, because he hopes for it. And the one who denies it, his soul does not long for that, nor wish for it at all, for he has no hope of it. He settles with acceptance and dwelling in the abode of honour, only because his soul hopes for no more. We find the one who deems marriage with close kin lawful, he is not content with what one who deems it forbidden may be content with. His love does not stop where that lover stops. The Magian or Jew who deems marriage with his daughter or brother's daughter lawful may fall in love with them as a Muslim may fall in love with one he may lawfully mix with. We do not find a Muslim reach that in relation to them, even were they more beautiful than the sun, even if he be the most lustful and amorous. If that is found rarely, it is only in one corrupt in religion whose restrainer has been removed, hope has widened and the gate of appetite opened. A Muslim is not safe from falling extreme in love with his cousin beyond his love for his daughter or brother's daughter, even if they be more beautiful, for he hopes to reach his cousin where he has no hope with his daughter or brother's daughter. The Christian is safe from that toward his cousin, since he has no hope therein, but he is not safe toward his milk sister, for he hopes in her in his law. Thus what we have stated is clear. Love is one genus. Its kinds differ according to aims. Otherwise, human natures are one only habit, and religious belief have visible effect. We do not say that appetite alone affects this subject. We say appetite is a cause for every worry, even in wealth and conditions. We see a person, his neighbour dies, his maternal uncle, his friend, his maternal cousin, his paternal uncle through his mother's father, his daughter's son, since he has no hope in their wealth, his concern for missing it is gone, even if it be of great worth. No worry passes his mind until a distant agnate dies, or a distant client, and hope appears for him in that wealth. Then comes upon him worry, grief, anger, and scheming at the loss of the least of it. So it is in conditions. One far from high rank does not care who runs the affairs of his city, who is brought near or cast away until hope appears to him. For that rank, then cares, thoughts, and anger come upon him to an extent that may lead him to ruin, destroying his worldly life and his hereafter. Appetite, then, is the root of every humiliation and every worry. It is a base, blameworthy character. Its opposite is self-restraint, a noble virtue compounded of courage, generosity, justice, and understanding. He saw the little benefit in employing its opposite. He employed restraint and found in himself courage, which gave him self-honour, so he grew untainted. Found in himself generosity of soul, so he did not grieve what passed him by. Found justice, which made dear to him contentment and little appetite. Thus self-restraint is composed of these traits. Appetite is composed of their opposites: cowardice, greed, injustice, and ignorance. Desire is appetite perfected, increasing, employed. Were it not for appetite, none would be humiliated before anyone. Abu Bakr ibn Abi al-Fayyad told me, Uthman ibn Muhammad wrote on his door in Istija, "O Uthman, do not covet." Sayings on love. He who is tested by the nearness of one he hates is like one tested by the distance of one he loves. There is no difference. When a lover calls upon forgetfulness, his prayer is guaranteed, his supplication is answered. Be content with one who is content with you. Happy is he in love who is tried by one upon whom he can place his lock, and whose companionship does not bring blame from God. Exalted is he, nor censure from people. Its perfection is that they agree in love, and that they both be free of fickleness, for it is an ugly trait hated by all. Its completion is that the days sleep, for the duration of each one's enjoying the other. But where is that, save in paradise? Its guarantee, with certainty, is only there. It is the abode of settlement. In this world, even if all this were achieved, sudden calamities are not safe, and the lifespan is cut before the pleasure is fulfilled. When jealousy is gone, be sure love is gone. Jealousy is a noble trait compounded of courage and justice, for whoever is just dislikes transgressing another's inviolability or having another transgress his. Whoever has courage by nature possesses honour, and from honour comes aversion to humiliation. A companion told me about himself. He had never known jealousy until he was tested by love, then he was jealous. This informant had a corrupt nature and base composition, except that he was a man of understanding and generosity. Degrees of love are 5. First, admiration, that the observer imagines the one observed as beautiful, or admires his character. This falls in the door of befriending. Then infatuation, the viewer's desire for the one viewed and his nearness. Then intimacy, the feeling of estrangement when he's absent. Then enthrallment, the overmastering of thought by him. This is the gate named love poetry by passion. Then rapture, the refusal of sleep, food and drink, except a little. It may lead to sickness, to obsession, or to death. Beyond this, there is no station in the utmost of love. We used to think passion most in women of quick movement and temper. We found the matter contrary most in those still in their movements, unless that stillness is stupidity. The grace of beauty and its varieties. I was asked to clarify speech about beauty. I said, sweetness is the delicacy of features, gentleness of movements, lightness of gestures, and the soul's acceptance of the accidents of form, even if there are no manifest traits. Comeliness is the beauty of each trait on its own, yet many, with beautiful traits, taken singly, are cold in visage, neither fair nor handsome nor sweet. Splendour is the brightness of visible members, along with beauty therein, also vigour and nobility. Beauty itself is something no word in the language exactly expresses, but it is sensed in souls by the consensus of all who see it. A coolness cast upon the face, a shining that draws hearts to it, so that opinions unite in admiring it, even if there are no notable traits. Everyone who sees it is pleased and accepts it. Yet if you examine the traits one by one, you find nothing much. It is as though something in the soul of the seen is found by the soul of the seer. This is the highest of beauty's ranks. Then desires differ. Some prefer splendour, some sweetness. We have never found anyone who prefers mere physique. Mellowness is the coming together of something from what we have mentioned. Ethics and habits. Blameworthy fickleness is to move from one affected fashion without meaning to another like it, and from a state without meaning to a state without meaning, without a cause that necessitates it. As for one who uses in his attire what he can and what he needs, and leaves beyond that what he does not need, this is the very eye of reason and deep wisdom. And the messenger of God, peace and blessings be upon him, is the model in every good. God exalted is he, praised his character. He gathered in him all virtues in perfection, and kept him furthest from every deficiency. He would visit the sick, walking with his companions to the furthest part of Medina, without leather socks, sandals, cap, or turban. He would wear wool when it was present, and at times he wore brocade among fine garments when it was present. He did not affect what he did not need, and he did not abandon what he needed. He sufficed with what was there over what was not there. At times he walked barefoot. At times he wore leather socks. He rode a splendid piebald mule. At times he rode a horse bareback. At times he rode a camel. At times a donkey, and seated behind him one of his companions. At times he ate dates without bread and bread dry. At times he ate roasted kid, melon with dates and sweets. He took what sufficed and gave what was surplus. He left what he did not need. He did not burden himself beyond necessity. He did not get angry for himself, and he did not neglect anger for his Lord majestic and sublime. Steadfastness, which is sound contract, and pig-headedness, these resemble one another, such that none can distinguish them except one who knows the qualities of character. The difference, pig-headedness, is when one persists upon falsehood or upon something he only clings to for victory, even if its ugliness has appeared, or in ignorance as to its rightness or wrongness, and this is blameworthy. Its opposite is fairness. As for steadfastness, which is sound contract, it is only upon truth, or upon what one believes to be truth, until its falsehood appears, and this is praiseworthy. Its opposite is confusion. One is blameworthy for both, insofar as one neglects to examine what one has held to, and fails to inquire whether it is right or wrong. The measure of reason. Employing obedience and virtues, this includes avoiding sins and vices. God exalted is he has made clear in many places in his book that whoever disobeys him has no reason. And they shall say, if only we had listened or used our reason, we would not now be among the inmates of the blazing fire. 67:10. Then he says, confirming them, and thus they confess their sin, so away with the inmates of the blazing fire. 67:11. The measure of folly, employing sins and vices. As for transgression, stone-throwing and confused speech, these are madness and violent bile. But folly is the opposite of reason, as we have said, and between reason and folly there is no middle, except frivolity. The measure of frivolity, acting and speaking in what is unnecessary in religion or worldly life, or praiseworthy character, neither sin nor obedience, nor aid to either. Neither virtue nor harmful vice, just idle speech and excess action. According to much or little of these does one deserve the name frivolity. One may be frivolous in one matter and reasonable in another, foolish in a third. The opposite of madness is the power to distinguish things, and the ability to manage knowledge and crafts, what the ancients called the rational faculty. Between them there is no middle. As for the shrewd mastering of worldly affairs and currying favour with people by what pleases them, and secures the state of the flatterer, whether by falsehood or otherwise, or trickery in increasing wealth and heightening renown, and preparing influence by any means, even by sin and vice, this is not reason. Those whom God has described as not having reason, he told us they do not reason, were leaders in worldly affairs, and multiplied wealth. Reason and safety. If the quest for what we have mentioned is carried out with propriety and dignity, it is called prudence. Its opposite, squandering, is its negation. As for gravity putting words in their place, moderation in managing livelihood, conciliating people with peacefulness, these are called sobriety. They are the opposite of frivolity. Loyalty. Loyalty is composed of justice, generosity, and courage. The loyal one sees it as injustice not to requite one he trusts or one who has done him good, so he practices justice. He sees it as right to be generous with the immediate interest that lack of loyalty would secure him, so he practices generosity. He sees it as right to steel himself for what he expects as the consequence of loyalty, so he is courageous. The roots of all virtues are four. From them every virtue is composed: justice, understanding, courage, and generosity. The roots of all vices are four, their opposites: injustice, ignorance, cowardice, and stinginess. Trustworthiness and chastity are two kinds of justice and generosity. Self-restraint is a virtue composed of courage and generosity. Likewise, patience. Forbearance is a singular kind of courage. Contentment is a virtue composed of generosity and justice. Greed is born of desire, desire born of envy, envy born of longing, longing is born of injustice, stinginess, and ignorance. From greed are born great vices: humiliation, theft, usurpation, adultery, murder, obsessive passion. And the worry of poverty and begging for what is in people's hands is born between greed and desire. We have distinguished between greed and desire because greed is the manifestation of what lies hidden in the soul of desire. Accommodation, mudarat, is a virtue composed of forbearance and patience. Truthfulness is composed of justice and courage. Whoever comes to you with falsehood leaves you with truth. For whoever brings you a lie about someone agitates your nature, you reply, and he departs with truth from you. Beware then, do not answer except regarding speech proven to you from its speaker. Nothing is uglier than lying. What do you think of a vice of which unbelief is a kind? Every unbelief is lying. Lying is the genus. Unbelief, a species beneath it. Lying is born of injustice, cowardice, and ignorance. Cowardice gives birth to a lowly soul, and the liar's soul is low, far from praiseworthy honour. I have seen people in their speech, the dividing line between them and donkeys, dogs, and crawling things fall into three. One who does not care how he spends his speech. He says whatever comes to his tongue, without verifying to uphold truth or refute falsehood. This is most people. Second, one who speaks to uphold what he has assumed to be truth, and refute what he has thought to be false, without verifying to seek reality, but merely obstinate in what he clings to. These are many. Third, one who puts words in their place rarer than red sulphur. Long is the care of those for whom truth is irksome. Two are those whose rest is great. One in utmost praise, the other in utmost blame. Both cast the world away, and have cast off shame. If there were no cause to disdain the world, except that every person, every night when he sleeps, forgets all he is anxious over in wakefulness, what he fears and what he craves, so that you find him then remembering neither child nor family, fame nor obscurity, governor nor recluse, poverty nor wealth nor calamity, this would suffice as an admonition to whoever has reason. Among the wondrous ordering of God exalted is he, for the world is that the more needed a thing, the easier it is. Reflect on water and what is above it. And everything that people can most easily do without is rarer. Reflect on the red ruby and what is below it. People in what they undergo are like one walking in a desert. Whenever he crosses land, other lands appear. Whenever he completes a cause, causes arise. He spoke truly who said, "The intelligent is tormented in this world," and he who said, "He is at rest." As for his torment, in what he sees of the spread of falsehood and the dominance of its reign, and in what is made a barrier between him and showing truth. As for his rest, in all that burdens people of the vanities of the world. Beware conforming to a bad companion or aiding the people of your time in what harms you in your hereafter or worldly life, even if little for you, will gain nothing but regret when regret is useless. Nor will the one you aided praise you, rather he will gloat. At minimum, and that is assured, he will not care about your ill outcome or ruined end. Beware opposing your companion or opposing the people of your time in what does not harm you in your worldly life or your hereafter, even if little for you will gain harm. Alienation and enmity, perhaps demands and great damage without any benefit at all. If there is no escape from angering people, or angering God majestic and sublime, and no way to avoid opposing creation or opposing truth, then anger people and oppose them. Do not anger your Lord, nor oppose truth. Imitating the prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, in admonishing the ignorant and those of sins and vices is obligatory. Whoever admonishes with harshness and grimness has erred and departed from his way, peace be upon him, and in most cases has incited the advised to persist in his matter in obstinacy, rage and spite against the harsh adviser. Thus, in admonishing, he is a wrongdoer, not a benefactor. Whoever admonishes with a cheerful face, a smile, with gentleness as a counsellor offering an opinion, as though informing him about someone else, by which he opens the heart of the advised, then that is more penetrating and effective. If he does not accept, then shift to admonishing with respect and in private. If he does not accept, then in the presence of those before whom the advised feels shame. This is God's manner in commanding gentle speech, and he, peace and blessings be upon him, would not directly admonish by confronting. Rather, he would say, "What is the matter with people who do such and such?" He praised gentleness, commanded ease, and forbade alienation. He would choose different times for admonishing, fearing boredom. God exalted is, he said, and had you been harsh and hard of heart, they would indeed have broken away from you. 3:159. As for severity, it is required in the prescribed punishments of God. Exalted is he no gentleness in that for him who can execute the penalty. What is effective in admonition is also praising in the presence of the wrongdoer, one who does the opposite of what he did, this summons to good. I know of no merit for love of praise, except this alone, that it causes those who hear it to imitate, and for this virtues and vices should be recorded, so that the listener may turn from the ugly that is reported of another, and desire the good that is transmitted from him who preceded, and take admonition from what has passed. I reflected upon all beneath the sky, and my thought grew long. I found that everything living and non-living by its nature, if it is strong, seeks to strip from other kinds their qualities and clothe them with its own. You see the virtuous wishing that people be virtuous, the deficient wishing that people be deficient. You see, everyone who mentions something urging it says, "And I do such and such." Everyone with a creed wishes people agreed with him. You see it in the elements. When one gains strength over another, it changes it to its own kind. In the composition of trees, in the feeding of plants and trees on water, and the earth's moisture, changing them to their kind. Glory to the inventor and manager, no God but he. It is among the wonders of God's power that his creation is abundant, yet you never see anyone exactly like another with no difference. I asked someone long-lived past 80 years if he had ever seen faces similar to these, exactly the same. He said, "No, each face has its difference." So it is with everything in the world known to whoever examines instruments and all composed bodies, and who has his sight frequently fall upon them. Then he distinguishes what is between them, and knows some from others. By differences the soul knows, but no one can express with his tongue. Glory to the mighty, the wise, whose powers are without end. Among the wonders of the world are people dominated by corrupt hopes, yielding nothing but tiring the soul now, and care and sin later. Like those who wish for the high price of food, wherein is the destruction of people, or those who wish for matters where there is harm to others, even if some benefit accrues to them. Wishing does not hasten what is hoped for before its time, nor does it bring into existence what is not in God's knowledge to be. If he were to wish for good and ease, he would hasten reward, rest and virtue without tiring his soul for even the blink of an eye. Wonder, then, at the corruption of these character traits without any benefit. Ailments of corrupt character and their remedies. Whoever is tested by self-admiration, let him reflect upon his faults. If he admires his virtues, let him search for what is in him of base traits. If all his faults are hidden from him so that he imagines he has none, let him know that his affliction is perpetual, that he is of all people the most deficient, the most blemished, the weakest in discernment. The first proof of this is that he is feeble of mind and ignorant, and there is no defect more grievous than these two. For the intelligent one is he who discerns the flaws of his own soul, masters them, and strives to suppress them, whereas the fool is he who is unaware of his own faults, whether due to scant knowledge, poor judgment, and weak thought, or because he fancies his faults to be virtues, and this is the most grievous defect on earth. Many people boast of fornication, sodomy, theft, and injustice, and take pride in how these misfortunes come easily to them and in their prowess at these disgraces. Know with certainty that no human being is free of deficiency save the prophets. Blessings of God be upon them. Thus, whoever is blind to his own faults has fallen from the ranks of sound judgment, sunk into frivolity, lowness, baseness and feebleness of reason and understanding, down to a station from which none of the vulgar lag behind him, and beneath which lies no rank of ignominy. Let him rescue himself by seeking out his own defects and occupy himself with them, instead of admiring himself, and instead of dwelling on other people's faults, which neither harm him in this world nor in the next. I know of no benefit in listening to people's faults, except that one may take admonition from what one hears, thereby avoiding those faults and striving by God's might and power to purge from oneself whatever of them one finds. As for speaking of people's faults, it is a great fault in itself, never permissible, and it must be avoided, except in advising one who may be harmed by associating with a faulty person, or in the manner of rebuking the self-admiring, and only to his face, not behind his back. Then say to the self-admiring, "Return to yourself." If you discern your faults, you have cured your conceit. Do not set yourself against someone more flawed than you, lest you come to think little of vice and become an imitator of the people of evil. Imitation of the virtuous has been censured, how much more the imitation of the wicked. Rather set yourself against one who is better than you, and then your conceit will perish, and you will awaken from this loathsome disease that gives birth to disdain for people among whom, without doubt, are those better than you. If you look down on them without right, they will rightly look down on you. For God Most High says, "And the recompense of an evil deed is an evil like it." 42:40. Thus you bring upon yourself the right to be despised in truth, along with God's wrath and the effacement of whatever virtue you possess. If you are impressed by your intellect, then reflect on every evil thought that passes through your mind, and on the delusions of hopes that circle within you. Then you will know your mind's deficiency. If you are proud of your opinions, reflect on your misjudgments. Keep count of them and do not forget them. And recall every opinion you deemed right that turned out otherwise, where another hit the mark and you missed. If you do this, at the least the failures of your judgment will weigh against its successes, and you will come out neither for you nor against you. And more often than not, your mistakes are more than your hits. And so it is with everyone after the prophets. Blessings be upon them. If you take pride in your works, reflect upon your sins, your shortcomings, your livelihood, and its avenues. By God, you shall find in them what overwhelms your good and effaces your merits. Then let your concern grow long, and replace conceit with humble self-critique. If you are impressed by your knowledge, know that you have no intrinsic merit in it. It is a pure gift from God, your Lord, who bestowed it upon you. Do not meet it with what angers him, lest he cause you, through an affliction he tests you with, to forget what you learned and memorized. Abdul-Malik ibn Tarif, one of knowledge, intelligence, sound conduct, and genuine investigation, told me that he had possessed a great share of memory, hardly needing to hear anything twice. Then he boarded a ship and was overcome at sea by such terror that he forgot most of what he had memorized. His once powerful memory was gravely impaired, and that sharpness never returned. As for me, illness befell me, and when I recovered, what I had memorized was gone, save what was of little worth. It returned to me only after years. Know that many lovers of knowledge toil day and night in reading, attending lessons and seeking, yet are granted no share of it. Let the learned one know, if knowledge came by toil alone, others would surpass him. Hence it is a gift from God Most High. What place has conceit here? This is a station for humility and gratitude to God Most High, for asking increase of his favours and for seeking refuge from their removal. Reflect, too, on how much of knowledge is hidden from you, and even within the very field that you specialize in, what is unknown to you is greater than what you know. Replace conceit with self-diminishment and a consciousness of falling short. Consider those more learned than yourself, you will find them many. Let your soul be humbled in your own sight. Reflect upon your failure to act upon what you know. Your knowledge then stands as a proof against you. It would have been safer for you not to have been learned at all. In that case, the ignorant is wiser, in a better state, and more excused than you. Let your conceit fall completely. Perhaps, moreover, the field in which you pride yourself is one of the later forms of learning, in which there is scant noble virtue like poetry and the like. Then look to those whose knowledge outranks yours in the measures of this world and the next, and your soul will seem small to you. If you are taken by your courage, think of those braver than you. Then look into the use to which you have put this valour. If in disobedience, you are a fool, offering your soul for what is not its price. If in obedience, you have spoiled it by your conceit, then reflect upon its fading from you with old age. If you live long, you will join the ranks of dependents, becoming as weak as a child. I have never seen conceit scarcer among any group than among the truly brave. I take this as a sign of the nobility, loftiness, and purity of their souls. If you are proud of your worldly standing, consider your opponents, your peers, and counterparts. Perhaps they are petty, weak, and contemptible. Know that they are your equals in what you possess, and perhaps they are people whom one would be ashamed to resemble, so extreme is their baseness in themselves, their manners, and their origins. Make light of any status in which you are matched by such as these. Even if you owned all the earth with none to oppose you, and this is, in truth, exceedingly unlikely. Never has anyone owned the whole of the inhabited earth, small and narrow as its settled part is in relation to its wilderness. How then, when it is measured against the encompassing firmament? Consider what Ibn al-Samak said to Harun al-Rashid when, in his presence, a cup of water was brought for him to drink. He said, "O Commander of the Faithful, if this sip were withheld from you, how much would you pay to procure it?" He answered, "With all my dominion." Ibn al-Samak said, "And if its exit were withheld from you, how much would you pay to be delivered?" He replied, "With all my dominion." He said, "O Commander of the Faithful, do you then rejoice in a dominion that is not worth a single urination, nor a sip of water?" Ibn al-Samak spoke the truth. May God have mercy on him. Even if you were king over all the Muslims, know that the king of the vast lands of the blacks, a man lowly, naked, and ignorant, possesses a realm wider than yours. If you say, "I acquired my rule by right, by my life," not so if you employ the vice of conceit therein, and if you do not do justice. Be ashamed of your state. It is a state of baseness, not one that warrants self-admiration. If you are impressed by your wealth, this is the worst form of conceit. Look to every contemptible wretch richer than you. Do not exult in a condition in which such surpass you. Know that pride in wealth is foolishness. Wealth is but stones from which you derive no benefit unless you take them out of your possession by spending them in their rightful places. Wealth comes and goes. Perhaps it will depart from you, and you will behold it with your very eyes in another's hand, perhaps even in the hand of your enemy. Conceit in such a thing is folly. To trust in it is delusion and weakness. If you are proud of your beauty, reflect upon what it may engender in you of things we are ashamed even to name, and which you yourself will be ashamed of when it leaves you with advancing years, and what we have said suffices. If you exult in the praise your brethren give you, consider the blame of your enemies. Then your conceit will vanish. If you have no enemy, there is no good in you. No station is lower than that of one without enemies. It is but the station of him upon whom God Most High has bestowed no blessing that others would envy. May God grant us well-being. If you belittle your own faults, imagine them shown openly to the people and picture their seeing them. Then you will be ashamed, and you will know the measure of your deficiency if you possess even a spark of discernment. Know that if you learn how temperaments are composed and how traits are born of the mingling of the elements carried in the soul, you will come to certain knowledge that your virtues are not yours by merit. They are gifts from God Most High. Had he given them to another, that one would be as you are. And if you were left to yourself, you would be powerless and perish. Therefore, replace your conceit with gratitude to him who granted you these gifts, and with fear of their removal. Noble traits may be altered by illness, poverty, fear, anger, and old age. Have mercy on those who have been denied what you have been given, and do not invite the loss of your blessings by defying their Giver Most High, or by setting for yourself, on account of what he has granted you, some special quality or right thinking yourself secure from the need of his protection. This is to perish sooner or later. Once a severe illness befell me. It produced in me a grievous swelling of the spleen. This, in turn, yielded an irritability, tightness of temper, scant patience, and recklessness that amazed me. I held myself to account for it, and was astonished at the change in my character. It then became clear to me that the spleen is the seat of joy. When it is diseased, its opposite is produced. If you are proud of your lineage, this is worse than all we have mentioned, for it is of no benefit whatsoever, neither in this world nor the next. See if it can ward off hunger from you, or cover your nakedness, or profit you in your hereafter. Then consider those who share your lineage, and perhaps those with higher lineage, those upon whom the birth of prophets has descended, peace be upon them. Then the birth of caliphs, then the birth of the virtuous from among the companions and the learned. Then the kings of the Persians and the Romans, the Khosrows and the Caesars. Then the Tuba kings and all the other rulers of Islam. Consider what remains of them. Consider those who claim for themselves what you claim. You will find most of them like dogs in baseness. You will see their remains in the utmost degeneration and disgrace and inconstant character, adorned with blameworthy traits. Do not exult in a station where your peers or your betters are as you are. Perhaps, too, the forefathers you boast of were profligates, drinkers of wine, sodomites, triflers, fools whom the days unmuzzled for injustice and tyranny, so that they sowed ugly deeds whose shame remains as long as days endure, with grievous sin and remorse on the day of reckoning. If so, then what you admire of them belongs to the register of shame, disgrace, and ignominy, not to that of self-admiration. If you are proud that the virtuous begot you, how empty your hands are of their virtue if you yourself are not virtuous, and how little their excellence avails you in this world and the next if you are not a doer of good. All people are the children of Adam, whom God created with his own 2 hands, settled in his garden, and before whom he made his angels prostrate. And yet how little that benefits them. Among them are the flawed, the reprobate, and the unbeliever. When the intelligent reflect that their Father's merits are not credited to them by their Lord Most High, and that they do not thereby gain a rank they did not attain by their own felicity or virtue, nor gain wealth, what meaning then has self-admiration in what carries no benefit? He who admires that is like one who boasts of his neighbour's wealth, another's prestige, or someone else's horse that has won a race while its bridle is on his head, as the common folk say, like the dolt who struts with pride over his father's intelligence. If your conceit drives you to singing your own praises, your downfall is doubled, for your reason has failed to resist your conceit. This even if you praise yourself truthfully, how then if you do so falsely? Noah's son, Abraham's father, and Abu Lahab the prophet's uncle, God bless him and grant him peace, were closest in kinship to the noblest of God's creation, those whose entire nobility lies in following them, and yet they gained nothing thereby. Among those born out of wedlock were men who attained the heights of worldly dominion, like Ziyad and Abu Muslim, and among them were those who reached the utmost in true excellence, like some whom I refrain from naming in a context such as this, those whose love brings one near to God Most High, and whose praiseworthy example is to be followed. If you are impressed by your bodily strength, remember, the mule, the donkey, and the bull are stronger than you, and bear heavier burdens. If you are proud of your swiftness, know that the dog and the hare outrun you in that regard. It is among the strangest of conceits that a speaking creature takes pride in a quality in which the voiceless beasts surpass him. Know that whoever imagines himself superior to other people should look to his patience when calamity strikes some grief, misfortune, pain, carbuncle, or affliction. If he finds himself lacking in patience, then all the people of tribulation who are patient lepers and others are better than he, even if they are less endowed with discernment. If he finds himself patient, let him know that he has not surpassed them thereby. He is either behind them in that, or at most their equal no more. Then let him look to his conduct, whether just or unjust, in what God has entrusted to him of blessings, wealth, dependence, followers, health, or prestige. If he finds himself falling short in the gratitude due to their giver most high, and fearful concerning justice, let him know that those among the endowed who are just, grateful, and of good conduct are more than he is, and better. If he finds himself committed to justice, the just man is far from conceit altogether, because he knows the scales of things and the measures of traits, and he holds to the mean, which is the balance between the two blameworthy extremes. If he falls into conceit, he has not been just. He has tilted towards the blameworthy side of excess. Know that harshness and ill-treatment of those whom God Most High has put under your charge, from servants or subjects, prove a base soul, low ambition, and a weak mind. For the truly intelligent, noble soul, lofty in aspiration, seeks to overcome his equals in strength and his peers in might. But to lord it over those who cannot resist is a fall in nature, a baseness in character, incapacity and humiliation. Whoever behaves thus is like one who boasts of killing a rat, a flea, or of crushing a louse. Enough of a disgrace and meanness is that. Know that disciplining the soul is harder than training a lion. A lion, if confined in cages prepared by kings, is made safe from its harm. But the soul, even if confined, is never safe from its harm. Conceit is the root from which arrogance, vainglory, pride, swagger, and self-exaltation branch forth names that point to meanings close to one another. And for this reason most people find it hard to distinguish between them. Conceit may be due to an apparent virtue in the one conceited. Some are conceited by their knowledge, and so scowl and rise above people. Some by their deeds, and so grow haughty. Some by their opinions, and so strut before others. Some by their lineage, and so swagger. Some by their rank and station, and so act proud. The lowest degree of conceit is that you see a man withholding himself from laughter, even where laughter would befit, restraining his movements, and withholding speech except concerning what he deems necessary for his worldly affairs. This fault is less than others. Were he to do these very acts as part of restricting himself to obligations and shunning the superfluous, it would be a virtue and would merit praise. But he does it out of contempt for people and admiration of himself, and so he merits blame thereby. Indeed, actions are by intentions, and every person has only what he intends. When the matter grows, and there is no discernment to curtail conceit, nor a sound mind to restrain it, its result is the open belittling of people in speech and in dealings. If this grows further as discernment and reason weaken, it rises to aggression against people by hands, to dominance, injustice, tyranny, demanding others' obedience to oneself, and demanding their submission if he is able. If he cannot do that, he turns to praising himself with his tongue, and confines himself to slandering people and mocking them. Conceit may arise for no real reason, and without any virtue in the conceited one. This is among the strangest things that occur in this realm. It is what our common folk call swaggering, We see it often in women and in men whose minds are near to theirs. The conceit of one who possesses not a single virtue, not knowledge, nor courage, nor high station, nor proud lineage, nor wealth that intoxicates, and he knows that he has none of these. For concerning these matters even the stone-thrower does not err. Only he who has at least a small share may be misled. If his intellect is weak, he may then imagine he has reached the farthest limit, for example, one who has a little knowledge and thinks himself a complete scholar, or one whose lineage is sunk in obscurity, who imagines dukedom in his darkness. And even in their obscurity we find that they were not elevated. You will find such a one that even if he were the son of Pharaoh, lord of stakes, his conceit would not increase beyond what it already is. Or he has a little horsemanship, and imagines he could rout Allah, capture Al-Zubair, and slay Khalid. Or he has some paltry prestige, and sees Alexander as nothing. Or he is merely strong enough to earn a few coins beyond his day's subsistence. Even were he to take the sun by its horns, he would not rise beyond what he is. Yet conceit is even more common among those who have not a trace of knowledge whatsoever, no lineage at all, no wealth, no prestige, no valour. You see him under another's care, bullied by anyone with the slightest power, and he knows himself to be devoid of all of that, and yet he is in a state of swaggering and haughtiness. I once gently asked one of them about the cause of his loftiness of soul and his contempt for people. I found that he had nothing more to say than, "I am free, I am not anyone's slave." I said to him, "Most of those you see share with you this virtue. They are free, like you, and there are free men whose hands are longer than yours. Their command runs over you and over many of the free." He had nothing further to say. I returned to examining their states and watching them. I reflected on this for years to learn the cause that spurred them to this causeless self-admiration. I continued to test the secrets of their souls by observing the states that appeared from them and their aims in their speech, until the matter settled that they imagined they possessed superior reason and an original judgment which were the days to grant them control they would wield to spacious effect. They would rule high dominions, and their excellence over others would become clear. And were they to possess wealth, they would manage it supremely. From here, conceit seeped into them. This is a place where discussion branches strangely, with an objection arising. There is no virtue which, the more a man lacks it, the more his certainty grows that he has mastered it, save intellect and discernment. You may find the completely insane or wine-drunk scoffing at the sound of mind, the ignorant and deficient deriding the sages and the best of scholars, small boys mocking the elders, scapegraces of low breeding making light of prudent restrained men, and weak women belittling the minds and opinions of the greatest of men. In sum, the less the intellect, the more its possessor imagines himself the most rational and most discerning. This does not occur with other virtues. The one completely devoid of them knows he is devoid. Error only afflicts the one with the least share of them. If his discernment is weak, he will imagine himself high in that virtue. The remedy for those we have described is poverty and obscurity. No cure is more effective. Otherwise, their harm and damage to people are very great indeed. You find them fault-finders, attacking people's honour, mocking everyone, estranged from realities, consumed by trifles, and often ready for brawling and quarrel. They may headlong seek slaps and blows at the slightest pretext that arises for them. Conceit may also lie in ambush within a person hidden until he gains a little wealth or rank. Then it appears upon him, and his mind proves unable to suppress it. Among the curious things I've seen in some weak-minded people is that some are so overwhelmed by their love for a small child or for their wife that they praise her intellect in gatherings and even say, "She is more intelligent than I. I seek blessing from her counsel." As for praising her beauty, grace and health, this is very common among the weak-minded, as though he were her suitor and could not add anything more to entice the listener than what he is saying. This occurs only in one of weak mind, who lacks self-admiration. Beware of praising yourself. No one who hears you will believe you, even if you are truthful. Rather, he will make what he heard from you the first of your faults. Beware of praising anyone to his face. That is the act of flatterers and people of low soul. Beware of faulting anyone, whether before him or in his absence. You have enough work in correcting yourself. Beware of feigning poverty. You will gain nothing but being belied or despised by those who hear you, and no benefit at all except the ingratitude of your Lord's favour most high, or complaining of him to one who will not show you mercy. Beware, too, of describing yourself as well off. You will only set the listener's appetite upon what you have. Instead, increase in gratitude to God Most High, and mention your poverty to him and your disdain for all apart from him, for this will grant you dignity and spare you from others coveting what you possess. The intelligent person is one who does not invite, by word or deed, people's coveting what he has. For if he does, he will be compelled either to give endlessly or to refuse and be blamed and made an enemy. When you wish to give someone something, do so before he asks you. That is more noble, more honourable, and more deserving of praise. Among the marvels of envy is what the envier says when he hears someone say something original in a science. This is tasteless. No one before him has said it. And if he hears someone clarifying what others have said before, he says, "Tasteless, this has been said already." This is a base class of people who plant themselves at the road of knowledge, blocking others from it so that their own numbers among the ignorant may increase. Wisdom does not avail the wise with an ill-natured person. He imagines him ill-natured like himself. I have observed those of vile temperament who imagine in their base souls that all people share their nature. They do not believe that anyone at all could be free of their vices in any respect. This is the worst corruption of nature and the farthest state from virtue and good. Whoever is so described has no hope of amendment. In God Most High lies success. Justice is a fortress to which every fearful one flees. For you will see both the unjust and the just, if they face someone who would oppress them, calling for justice, denouncing injustice, and condemning it then and there. You never see anyone condemning justice. Whoever has justice as his nature dwells in that impregnable fortress. To belittle is a kind of betrayal, for one may betray you without belittling you, but whoever belittles you has betrayed you. Thus every belittler is a betrayer, though not every betrayer belittles. Belittling a blessing is a sign of belittling the Lord of that blessing. There are two states in which what is ugly elsewhere becomes praiseworthy: reproach and apology. In them it is fitting to enumerate one's favours and mention kindnesses, something that is the height of ugliness in every other state. No blame on one whose nature inclines to some vice, even if it is the worst of vices, so long as he does not display it in word or deed. Indeed, he may nearly be more praiseworthy than someone whose nature aids him in the virtues. Overcoming corrupt inclination is only possible by a strong, virtuous intellect. Treachery in the sanctum of honour is worse than treachery in blood. A noble values his honour more than his wealth. He should protect his body with his wealth, protect his self with his body, protect his honour with his self, and protect his religion with his honour. He must never protect anything at the expense of his religion. Betrayal in matters of honour is lighter than betrayal in wealth. The proof is that scarcely will you find a human being who does not in some degree fail the standards of honour even among the virtuous, whereas betrayal in wealth, whether small or great, is found only in a base soul far removed from nobility. Conjecture and analogy in judging people's states lie in most instances and are flawed for the most part. To employ such a tool in religion is impermissible. The blind imitator is content to have his intellect defrauded, and yet, at the same time, he deems it grave to be defrauded in his money. Thus he errs on both counts. None but a mean nature, narrow in aspiration, ignoble in self abhors loss in wealth while magnifying the loss of mind. As for one who is ignorant of the knowledge of virtues, let him rely on what God and his messenger, blessings and peace be upon him, have commanded, for therein lies the fullness of all virtues. How often fear of a thing has been the very cause of falling into it? How often has secrecy, when overly guarded, become the cause of its public spread? How often has turning away in silence inspired more suspicion than keen scrutiny? The root of all this is excess, a going beyond the bounds of the just mean. Virtue is a middle path between excess and neglect. Both extremes are blameworthy, and the virtue between them is praiseworthy, save only in the matter of reason, for in reason there is no excess. An error on the side of prudence is better than an error on the side of neglect. Wondrous it is that virtues are admired even as they are found burdensome, and vices are despised even as they are taken lightly. Whoever would be fair, let him imagine himself in the place of his adversary. If a glimmer of his own bias appears, let him restrain it. The measure of sound prudence is to distinguish friend from foe. The height of folly and weakness is to mistake the foe for a friend. Do not hand your enemy over to injustice, nor wrong him yourself. In justice, treat him and your friend alike, yet be on guard against him. Beware of drawing him near or raising his standing. Such is the conduct of the simple-minded. Whoever treats enemy and friend alike in closeness and rank succeeds only in making people disdain his friendship and find ease in opposing him. He strengthens his enemy's contempt and foothold against him, and corrupts his friend until he joins the ranks of his enemies. The utmost of good is that your enemy be safe from your wrongdoing and from your abandoning him to the wrongdoing of others. But drawing him near is a mark of those whose end is at hand. The utmost of evil is to be content that your friend is merely safe from your oppression, even as you estrange him. To drive him away is the deed of one who lacks all sense, upon whom wretchedness has been decreed. Forbearance is not to bring enemies close, but to live at peace with them while remaining cautious. How many have we seen boast of their possessions, and that very boasting became the cause of their ruin? So beware this path. It is pure harm, without any benefit. How often have we witnessed people destroyed by their words, but never have we seen, nor even heard it reported, that anyone was destroyed by his silence. So speak only what draws you nearer to your Creator, and if you fear a tyrant, be silent. Rarely have I seen a possible matter neglected without it slipping away entirely and becoming impossible thereafter. The trials that befall a human in his lifetime are many, and the greatest of them is his trial with his own kind, other human beings. A human's ailment at the hands of people is greater than his ailment at the hands of rabid beasts or deadly serpents, for from all of those one can take precautions, while from people no precaution suffices. Hypocrisy predominates among people, and the marvel is that, for all their abhorrence of it, they accept none into their circles but those who flatter them. If someone were to say that there is a circularity in human temperaments since the extremes of opposites meet, he would not be far from truth. We see the outcomes of opposites converge. A person weeps from joy as from sorrow. The excess of love meets the excess of hate in chasing after slips and failings, and this, lacking patience and fairness, becomes the cause of rupture. Whoever is dominated by a particular temperament will be laid low from that very quarter, no matter how far he has advanced in prudence and caution. A habit of suspicion teaches its bearer to lie, for he frequently finds himself compelled to excuse himself with lies until he grows accustomed to falsehood and finds it easy. The most equitable witness against one born truthful is his own face. When he falls into a lie, or even intends it, the signs of suspicion show upon him. And the most equitable witness against a liar is his tongue. It quivers, and parts of his speech undo other parts. The calamity of a friend who reneges is greater than the calamity of losing a friend. The one who most loudly denounces faults with his tongue is often the one who most readily commits them with his deeds. You can observe this among the brawlers of foul speech, and the scurrilous among the base men and women sunk in the most degraded occupations. Those who make their living by piping and revelry, by sweeping cesspools, by serving in slaughterhouses, the residents of public hostels rented out to crowded bands, and the grooms of beasts. Among these, the throwing of insults and the trading of scandals is most prevalent, and they are deepest in those very vices. Meeting dispels rancour. The gaze of eye to eye mends the heart. Therefore, let it not distress you that your friend meets your foe, for such meeting cools your foe's zeal against you in your friend's eyes. The hardest afflictions upon people are fear, anxiety, illness, and poverty, and most painful of all to the soul is anxiety, for the loss of one beloved and for the expectation of what is hated. After that, illness, then fear, then poverty. The proof: poverty is born swiftly, so as to banish fear, one gives all his wealth to feel safe. Fear and poverty are born swiftly to banish the pain of illness. One risks himself in pursuit of health, and spends his wealth upon it when he fears death. Indeed, when certain of death, he would wish to give all his wealth to be spared and made well again. Fear itself is rendered bearable in order to banish anxiety, so a man risks himself to drive away his inner turmoil. Of all diseases, the most painful is a pain that clings to a particular limb. As for noble souls, there is that which they deem worse than all we have mentioned, yet that very thing is the least of fears for ignoble souls. Of what I have said concerning character, reason is the foundation. Above it, character is a rampart. Adorn reason with knowledge, or it withers, barren. He who is ignorant of realities is blind. He perceives not how the world turns. Knowledge is fulfilled by justice, or else it is a lie. Justice is reigned by generosity, or else it will swerve. Generosity is mastered by courage, while cowardice is a delusion. Be chaste if you are truly proud of your honour. No one jealous for his honour ever fell into adultery. And the completion of all is God-consciousness. And I have also said, the reins of all foundational virtues are justice, understanding, liberality, and valour. From these, all other virtues are composed. Whoever possesses them is foremost among people. For in the head reside those faculties whose very senses dissolve confusion. Wonders of the soul's character. It befits the intelligent not to judge by what presents itself in the tears and pleading of a complainant, in his lamentations, contortions, and weeping. More than once I have ascertained with certainty that such a one was the aggressor, excessive in wrongdoing. And I have seen among the wronged those who are calm of speech, without complaint, showing little concern, and so, to the unreflective, he appears the oppressor. In such instances one must be deliberate, resisting the inclination of the soul altogether. Do not sway with the traits described, nor against them, but intend equity as required by truth equally for both sides. Among the marvels of character is that heedlessness is blameworthy, while the deliberate art of overlooking is praiseworthy. The reason one whose nature is heedlessness uses it where vigilance is required, estranged from understanding reality. Heedlessness thus falls under ignorance and is blamed. But the alert in nature uses feigned obliviousness only where searching and probing would be blameworthy overlooking for the sake of reality, turning away from rashness, practicing forbearance and quieting what's disliked. Hence, tactful the purposeful overlooking is praised, while heedlessness is censured. Likewise is the matter of revealing and concealing, of anguish and of patience. To display anguish when calamities befall is blameworthy. It is the sign of one who cannot master himself and who manifests what brings no benefit. Indeed, it is condemned by the law, distracting from required deeds and from preparing for what may yet arrive, perhaps even worse than the present calamity. Since displaying anguish is blameworthy, its opposite, displaying patience, is praiseworthy. For it is self-mastery, a casting away of what brings no good, and a turning towards what benefits now and in the future. As for concealing patience, an unfeeling heart that does not inwardly grieve this too is blameworthy. It is a dulled sensibility, hardness of soul, and lack of mercy qualities found only in the vicious of corrupt nature, with savage base souls. Since that is ugly, its opposite is praiseworthy. To inwardly feel grief for, in that lie mercy, compassion, and a grasp of the gravity of loss. Thus the just mean is that a person be tender of soul, yet patient in body, that nothing of the signs of anguish appear upon his face or limbs. If only the man of faulty judgment knew how much harm he exacted upon himself by his past mismanagement, he would prosper by abandoning such mismanagement in what lies ahead. With God lies all success. The soul yearns for what is hidden from it, whether words withheld from its hearing or sights veiled from its eyes, and it yearns for praise and for the endurance of one's mention after death. These are two cravings from which scarcely anyone is free save the one of very low ambition, or one who has thoroughly trained his soul and fully subdued its irascible force, or one who has deeply treated his soul's greed for overhearing what is concealed and for glimpsing what is kept from him. To occupy one's mind with every such hidden thing, imagining it here or there, across far-flung lands, is sheer madness, a total derangement, utterly devoid of reason. If, however, he is not consumed by such preoccupation, let him ask himself, is that which has been hidden from me of any different kind than all else that lies beyond my awareness? It is all the same. Let reason add this counsel against its own caprice. O soul, had you not learned that there is here something concealed from you, would you have yearned to know it? The answer must be no. Then say to yourself, be now as you would have been, had you not known that something was hidden. Thus you gain rest, banish anxiety, remove the ache of agitation, and cast off the ugliness of greed. These are many spoils, great profits, and lofty aims, in which the intelligent delights. None but the wholly deficient turns away from them. As for one who hangs his thought and wish upon the far spread of his name among the lands, and the endurance of his remembrance through the ages, let him reflect and say to his soul, O soul, suppose you were praised with the best of praise in all quarters of the inhabited world, for ever until the end of time, and yet none of that reached me, nor did I know of it. Would there be for me any joy or felicity in that? The answer must be no, and there is no other answer whatsoever. Once this is clear, let him know with certainty that when he dies there will be no way for him to know whether he is remembered or not. Even in life, if news does not reach him, it is as if no mention exists. Then let him think too on two great matters. First, the multitude of the virtuous, the prophets and messengers, peace and blessings be upon them all, many of whom have left upon the face of the earth neither name nor trace nor mention nor report nor sign of any kind. And likewise the righteous among their companions of times past, the ascetics, philosophers, scholars, and the noble-hearted, the kings of vanished nations, builders of now empty cities, courtiers and followers of rulers whose news is cut off, and about whom no knowledge remains with anyone at all. Has that harmed any of those who are truly virtuous? Has it diminished their virtues, effaced their beauties, or lowered their rank before their Creator exalted and majestic? Whoever ignores this reality, let him know that there is no report in any worldly record about the kings of ancient generations more remote than what is in our hands of the histories of the kings of the children of Israel, and then that which we have of the kings of the Greeks and the Persians, and all that does not exceed 2,000 years. Where then is any mention of those who peopled the world before these? Has it not utterly vanished, perished, ceased, and been forgotten? As God Most High has said, and messengers we have not related to you. 4:164. And he has said, and we destroyed many generations between them. 25:38. And he has said, and those after them none knows them but God. 14:9. Is a human being, though he be mentioned for a span of time, anything other than like those past nations who were once remembered and then entirely forgotten? Next, let a person consider, does being mentioned for good or for ill increase one's degree before God exalted and majestic, or grant a virtue not already earned by one's acts during life? If matters are as we have said, then the craving for renown is a delusion. It has no meaning and no benefit whatsoever. Rather, what befits the intelligent is to yearn for the increase of virtues and righteous deeds. These merit a beautiful remembrance, good praise, and a laudable description most of all with the one who fashioned him mighty and sublime, and cause him to be remembered by him with a remembrance that benefits him, whose fruit endures for ever and never perishes. And with God Most High lies success. Gratitude to the benefactor is an obligatory duty. It is to requite him in kind and more, to be mindful of his concerns, to defend him with excellence, to be loyal to him in life and after death, to honour those attached to him among his kin and household, to persist in his friendship and counsel, to spread his merits truthfully, conceal his faults as long as you live, and bequeath that loyalty to your children and to those who share your affection. But gratitude is not to aid him in sin, nor to withhold advising him in what harms his faith and worldly life. Whoever aids his benefactor in falsehood has betrayed him, denied his kindness, wronged him, and rejected his favour. Moreover, God's kindness to us exalted is he surpasses all kindness and precedes it. His favour is higher and more complete than any favour of any benefactor beneath him. It is he who opened for us seeing eyes and unsealed for us hearing ears, who granted us noble senses, who provided us with speech and discernment by which we were made worthy of his address, who subjected to us all that is in the heavens and the earth's stars and elements. He has preferred over us nothing among his creatures except the sanctified angels who inhabit the heavens. Where, then, do the favours of earthly benefactors stand in the face of such blessings? Whoever deems that he is showing gratitude to a human benefactor by aiding him in falsehood or favouring him in what is impermissible has denied the greatest benefactor, and rejected the goodness of the noblest of those who have done him good. He has not shown thanks to the one worthy of thanks, nor praised the one truly worthy of praise, God, mighty and sublime. But whoever stands between his benefactor and falsehood and establishes him firmly upon the path of truth, he has indeed shown gratitude and discharged his duty fully. And to God belongs all praise, first and last, and in every state, attending gatherings of knowledge. When you attend a circle of learning, let your presence be that of one seeking increase in knowledge and in reward. Do not attend as one self-satisfied with what you know, seeking a slip to broadcast or a peculiarity to denounce. Such are the actions of the base, who never prosper in knowledge. If you come with this intention of seeking increase, then you have gained good in every case. If you do not, then sitting in your home is more restful for your body, more noble for your character, and safer for your religion. When you do attend, as described, commit yourself to one of three modes, there is no fourth. Either remain silent, as the ignorant do. You will gain the reward of your intention by your attendance, earn praise for having little idle talk, and preserve the grace of the gathering and the affection of those with you. If not silence, then ask as a learner asks. You will gain these four good things, and a fifth, the increase of knowledge. The quality of a learner's question is that you ask about what you do not know, not about what you already know. For questioning about what you know is frivolity and lack of sense. It squanders your speech and your time on what benefits neither you nor others, and may breed enmities. It is, in truth, the very essence of idle talk, and you must not be given to idle talk, for it is an ugly trait. If he whom you ask answers you sufficiently, cut off the speech. If he does not suffice you, or if he answers in a way you do not understand, say, I did not understand, please clarify. If he does not add anything and remains silent, or repeats only what he first said without addition, then desist. Otherwise you will harvest only harm and enmity, and not the increase you seek. The third mode is to engage as a scholar does, by opposing an answer with what clearly refutes it. If you do not have that, if all you can do is repeat yourself, or bring what your opponent does not even regard as an objection, then desist. For by such repetition you gain no reward, no teaching, no learning, only vexation for yourself and your opponent, and enmity that may lead to harms. Beware the question designed to embarrass, and the disputation of the obstinate who seeks victory without knowledge. Both are vile traits, proof of little religion, much idle talk, weak intellect, and strong folly. God is sufficient for us, and how excellent a guardian is He. 3:173. If speech comes to you from a tongue, or you encounter a passage in a book, beware of meeting it with the anger that drives one to combative refutation before you have established its falsehood with decisive proof. Likewise, do not greet it as one who readily believes and admires it before knowing its truth with decisive proof. In both cases, you wrong yourself and distance yourself from reaching reality. Rather, approach it with a heart clear of aversion and free of gullibility, seeking your own portion of understanding in what you hear and read, to add thereby to your knowledge by accepting what is sound, or to reject what is false. If you do so, then assured for you are abundant reward, much praise, and copious grace. Whoever is content with his little in the face of your abundance has equalled you in wealth, even were you Karun, Korah. And when he learns to hold himself back from gains at which you yourself grasp, he becomes far wealthier than you. Whoever lifts himself above what you bow to in the matters of this world is far more noble than you. It is a duty upon people to learn what is good and to act upon it. Whoever combines both has attained two virtues at once. Whoever teaches it but does not act upon it has done well in teaching, yet done ill in neglecting to act. He has mixed a righteous deed with a bad one. Still, he is better than one who neither teaches nor acts, and even that person is in a better state and less blameworthy than one who forbids learning the good and bars others from it. If none were to forbid evil except he who was entirely free of it, and none were to command good except he who had fully encompassed it, then no one after the Prophet, blessings and peace be upon him, would ever forbid an evil or command a good. Enough for you is the corruption of opinion and ugliness of temperament of one whose view leads to such a state, and with God Most High is all success. Abu Muhammad, may God be pleased with him, said, "A man objected here, and said, Al-Hasan, may God be pleased with him, when he forbade a thing, would never do it at all, and when he commanded a thing, he took it up with full rigour. Thus does wisdom appear. It has been said, the ugliest thing in the world is that a man commands what he does not practice in himself, or forbids what he himself does." Abu Muhammad said, "The author of this statement has lied. Uglier still is one who neither commands good nor forbids evil, while himself doing evil and shunning good." Abu Muhammad said, and Abu al-Aswad al-Du'ali said, "Do not forbid a conduct, and then commit it yourself. Great is the shame upon you if you do. Begin with your own soul. Forbid it its caprice when it desists, then you are truly wise. Then your counsel will be accepted, your example followed, and learning from you will benefit." Abu Muhammad said, Abu al-Aswad intended to denounce the one who does what he forbids, since the ugliness of his act is doubled by the fact that he himself forbids it. He spoke well, just as God Most High has said, "Do you enjoin the people to piety while forgetting yourselves?" 2:44. Nothing else should be thought of Abu al-Aswad. As for forbidding people from forbidding blameworthy conduct, God forbid that of him. That is the doing of one in whom there is no good. It has been authentically reported of Al-Hasan that he heard a man say, "None should forbid evil except one who does not commit it." Al-Hasan said, "Iblis would love to snatch from us this very claim, so that no one would forbid wrong and no one would command right." Abu Muhammad said, Al-Hasan spoke the truth, and this is our view stated above. May God make us among those whom he grants success to do good and to act upon it, who see rightly their own guidance, for there is no one alive but that he has faults. If he attends to them, they will keep him from attending to others. And may he take us in the sunnah of Muhammad, blessings and peace be upon him. Amen, Lord of the worlds. There are some who ingratiate themselves with their kings, guarding their own dominion thereby. Such a trait is called cunning. Its opposite is to speak the truth, for truth is light. The roots of virtue of these, it was said, do not sprout until after the seeds are sown.